What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. I'm Alex with Turo Profits, and in this video I'm going to be answering the #1 question I've been asked: how I would start a Turo business in 2023. Let's get into it. So the first question that you have to answer is, where are you located? Now, people always seem to think that because an area has a higher population that it's going to be better for Turo. That is not always the case. In some instances, the higher the population, the lower the floor price, meaning the cheapest price that you can rent a car for in that area. So for example, areas like Miami and LA, there's a lot of competition for the cheapest cars possible on the platform, meaning the floor price is going to be a lot less in those cities where there's more competition than areas like Kansas City or Boston, right? So those areas that are not too big and definitely not too small are really the perfect cities for a Turo fleet. Now, I'm not saying that you can't be profitable in bigger cities and that you can't be profitable in small cities. That's not the case, right? But people always have it twisted in where they think the most profit comes from. But like I said, I just wanted to clear that up. People always think that the bigger the city, the better. It's not always the case. There's going to be pros and cons to every single situation. You just have to remember that. The second question you have to answer is, what is your financial situation? The best way to start on Turo is with a vehicle that you already have, meaning a car you already finance, lease, or own outright. Now, if you have a 9-to-5 or you use your vehicle all the time and you can't necessarily Turo it out, then that vehicle is not an option. But for a lot of people, they don't work on a set schedule, or they don't need to use that car all the time, meaning they have another vehicle, their spouse has another vehicle, they can get by with it. But if that's not an option, then you either have to buy a car cash or finance a vehicle to get into the game. The next thing you need to take into consideration is Turo's guidelines. In order to list a car on the platform, it must be within the last 12 years of age and 130,000 miles or less. If your car is older than 12 years old or has more than 130,000 miles, it's not eligible to be put on the platform. One thing that is worth noting is if it does qualify right now within that 12-year period, as well as the 130,000 miles or less, if it qualifies now, it's grandfathered in for however long it's going to be on the platform. Meaning if it goes over that 12-year mark or over 130,000 miles, it's going to be grandfathered in on the platform. As far as scalability goes, the best way to get into this space is by buying a car cash. That's going to allow you to keep as much money every single month and scale and reinvest as quickly as possible. And the third option is going to be finance. The way that I like to put it is, would you rather be in the game or on the sidelines? Financing allows you to get into the game, figure out those things that are going to make your business profitable and how it's going to work with your situation specifically, and then see if it's for you or not, right? Because theoretically, if you were testing out this business, right, that's why I'm saying start with your car, because you can be profitable from one trip. You can be profitable in month 1, right? But if it's not for you and you don't like it and you can't make it work, you don't have a mentor, obviously you can get out of the game very, very quickly, as opposed to buying a car or financing a car for this business. Then you're pretty much stuck and you have to figure something out for that car. And that's, again, why the best way to start this business is going to be with your car, something that you have available to you right now, to see if it's for you, maximize that situation, and then grow from there. Just to recap, 3 ways to start on Turo's: with the car that you already have, buy a car cash, or finance a vehicle. So as far as the path to success that I teach, what I create content about, as well as what I teach my mentorship students, the best way to go ahead and start this business is going to be with a cash or cheaper car. When I say a cash car, I'm not saying go out and buy $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 vehicle. You want to stay in the $8,000 to $15,000 price range. Now, with those vehicles, the monthly expenses that are associated with those are as follow. And as you will begin to see, it's not all that much. So when I talk about buying the car cash being the best way to reinvest and grow this business, you'll begin to see why. First things first, you're going to need regular personal insurance. Of course, if you're starting off with just one car, when it's not being rented out on the Turo platform, you do need that regular personal insurance policy, and that's going to run you anywhere from $70 to $140, $150 a month, just depending on the state and your situation. Next thing, you're gonna need an oil change every other month max. And let's say on the high end, it costs $120, which again, like I said, is on the high end. That averages out to about $60 a month. Another thing you're gonna need is a monthly car wash subscription. That's gonna run you anywhere from $30 to $50 a month, just depending on your city and your state. And last but not least, tires maybe once a year. And if that costs around $800 for a 4 set of tires, then that's gonna be around $67 a month as well. And this is why buying cash is going to be the best way to start this Turo business and scale as quickly as possible. As opposed to financing, you would have a payment somewhere between $200 and $500 plus to meet every single month. before profitability, as opposed to cash. It's there, yours right away. My economy cars and vans, as well as my mentorship students, average $1,000 to $3,000 profit every single month. If there's a payment involved, then you subtract that from there as well. But if there's no payment, those are really solid numbers every single month. And as you can see, there's not many expenses involved, especially on a month-by-month basis. So as far as what you can expect to profit, as I said before, my economy vehicles and my economy vans are profiting anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000 a month. Of course, closer to the $3,000 a month mark is not coming from Turo. That is from private rentals, which is all included in my mentorship program. I show you how to start on Turo and transition into private rentals as well. If you're interested in that mentorship, click that link down below. There's an application that you can fill out. But for the most part, it's safe to say $1,000 a month per car is very, very normal, especially following the strategies and things we're putting in place in the mentorship program. That is the minimum that my students see. Starting off with cash-owned economy vehicles will allow you to scale as quickly as possible. So a general 1.5 year plan that I like to go by for my students, especially if they're starting off with a minivan, will look similar to this, right? So if you buy a minivan anywhere from $10,000 to $15,000, we go somewhere in the middle, $12,000, right? So $12,000 cash is what you're spending to get into this business. Now it's going to make you anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000 a month. Let's go on the very, very low end. Like I was saying before, that's gonna take you 12 months to get that $12,000 initial investment back, right? And at the same time, you've also created a cash flow of $1,000 to $3,000 every single month. Now, at that 12-month mark, you're going to reinvest that $12,000 again into another minivan. Now, your cash flow has then doubled. $2,000 to $6,000 every single month is the potential for those two vans, and the amount of time that it's going to take you to get that initial $12,000 investment back again is going to be cut in half to only 6 months now, right? So at 1.5 years into this business, you're at 3 vehicles with that first initial $12,000 investment, making you anywhere from $3,000 to $9,000 a month. Now again, on the high side of that margin, that is for private rentals. Being able to start with those cash cars will allow you to keep the lowest amount of risk and scale as quickly as possible, because when those cars are owned in cash, as you begin to see, you can scale rather quickly. I do have students that begin to fuel that fire a lot quicker. Like I said, that 1.5 year process is only by starting with that one car that you invested into one time and reinvesting into 3 vehicles at the 1.5 year mark. Of course, I have students that begin to fuel that fire a whole lot quicker, but with that cash car route, once you begin to get at the 8 vehicle mark, at the minimum, that's $8,000 you're bringing in every single month. So technically, you could add a new car to the fleet, a new cash car every other month, right? And then every 3 months, you could technically trade in the 3 or 4 oldest cars for newer cars with less mileage, because you own them in cash and they're still worth something, even if they are high in mileage, as opposed to financing and having negative equity to take care of. That's a whole nother situation for a whole nother video. And this is why building your fleet with cash cars will allow you to be as flexible and profitable as possible and get to where you want to get to with those more expensive exotic cars as you begin to scale. As I said before, the only way to scale after Turo is private rentals, and at that point you will begin to see an increase in your profitability by 50 to 150%, because it's not rocket science. So let's say you're charging $55 a day. Turo is charging a trip fee, taxes, and other things on top of that, in which they're making more money. So to the customer, that $55 a day that you're getting a percentage of, they're paying much higher. So the ability to increase your prices become a huge advantage in the private rentals as well. Most people just don't know how to go about that process. All right. Now let's get into some items that you should have on hand as a Turo host. These are items that aren't necessarily a necessity, but they are going to make your life a whole lot easier. So you have a couple options. You can get the most important things in the beginning, and as you become more profitable, you can start to get more things later on. All of these items will be linked down below as well, so make sure to check that out. The first item is going to be a lockbox. The lockbox is going to make your life so much easier. If you work a 9 to 5, if you're busy, this will allow for contactless pickup and drop off, meaning somebody doesn't doesn't have to be there to get the key or give them the key. The next thing, people always ask me what tracker I recommend. I recommend the Bouncy tracker. The unit price is around 80 bucks and is $5 a month for all of the features. Definitely make sure to check that out. It is the tracker that I use for all of my vehicles. Another thing that could come in handy and something that I have on hand is a wireless vacuum. This will allow you to turn over the vehicle if you have a quick back-to-back trip, meaning you won't have to go to the car wash if the outside isn't too dirty. You can take this vacuum, quickly touch up the inside, and you can get it ready for the next guest. So having some cleaning supplies on hand is definitely recommended. The tracker, the lockbox, the vacuum, the interior cleaner, and the microfiber cloth. So those 5 things is what I recommend to have right away from day one. If you are interested in starting a Turo business, or you want to go ahead and transition into private rentals, that is all included in my mentorship program. It's all one-on-one, and I take out all of the guesswork. So like I said, if that interests you, there's going to be a link down below. Go ahead and click that, fill out that application, and I'll be in contact with you soon. That's going to wrap up this video. If you found some value, make sure to leave a like. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them down below. Or if you recently have started on Turo, let me know how your journey has been. Make sure to follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Turo Profits, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.